welcome to Was It Something I Said, the panel show that celebrates the world of quotations. And you can quote me on that. German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche once said, "We should consider every day lost in which we have not danced at least once." By which reckoning, I have lost 13,941 days out of a possible 13,948. On Richard Iwadi's team is comedian Ed Byrne, and with Mickey Flanagan tonight is sports broadcaster Gabby Logan. And here to read out our quotations is someone who once said that the worst thing you can be is skint and famous. Well, that's after being skint and having Ebola. Please welcome actor and star of Quadrophenia, Phil Daniels. So, do you have experiences of being skint and famous?
I do. I used to queue up at the job centre after I'd sort of done quite a lot of work and stand there in the queue with everybody else, and people would go, "Give me your autograph, mate," and you're really good in that, and it was quite... bit embarrassing, you know.
Are you sure it was autograph hunters? Because you know you do have to sign on.
It was a guy, you know, in a tie.
Was he behind the counter?
Behind the desk?
Yes.
Gabby, what's your favourite quotation?
One has just sprung to mind, actually, which is subliminally quite a feminist quote by Ginger Rogers, who said, "Women do everything that men do except backwards in high heels," referring to dancing, of course.
Yes.
And actually, I think, without getting too deep, that's kind of life, isn't it? Women do everything that men do, but backwards in high heels. Come on, ladies!
Yeah,
yes!
They don't go on about it, though, do they? That's what I like about women. They never go on about how much they do. They just keep it inside. They just soldier on.
You think maybe it's the fact that they keep doing everything backwards in high heels is why they don't get paid as much as men?
No, it's a fact.
Some things are supposed to be done forwards. It's very rare that someone says, as a compliment, that your boss would say, "You've done this all backwards."
What about
It's very rare.
Can you moonwalk in high heels?
I think if you've made your sales, yes.
Well, our opening round is called Threesomes. Our panellists have to guess which of three famous people said a particular quotation. And you can play along at home by following @SomethingISaid on Twitter to unlock some extra clips. This week's Threesomes theme is fashion. And can we have the first quotation, please, Phil?
I don't believe in fad clothing. There are so many fads in fashion, and they're here today and gone tomorrow.
Who said it? Was it superstar pianist Liberace, fashion designer Vivienne Westwood, or TV presenter Noel Edmonds?
Noel Edmonds.
Do you think Noel Edmonds?
I think it has to be, because I can imagine him doing that round the word fad, which is clearly in inverted commas.
Yeah.
Liberace's found one fashion. He found that look and he never changed it, did he? He never camped it up or anything, did he?
He's leaning quite casually for someone dressed quite so extravagantly. Don't you think? Extravagantly?
I think
Odd stress.
How many
I did there,
syllables?
wasn't it? He's dressed extravagantly.
It looks like he's got a job on the shopping channel and he's sort of saying, "There's only 15 of these left." Send your offers in now. Say how you the park.
What does...
I just don't run out there. I'm not gay.
What are you doing now? Oh, Liberace! Oh, yeah, sorry. Michael Douglas has got nothing on you. That is...
You try to do Liberace. I've not seen a lot of him, but he used to go, "Hi there."
Only an 80s DJ would use the word fad, and that's Edmonds.
So you're sure it's Edmonds?
I don't
I
know.
think it's
I
Edmonds.
disagree. I think it's Vivienne Westwood.
Do you know what Vivienne Westwood says about being a fashion designer? She says, "I didn't want to be a fashion designer at all. For 15 years, I hated fashion."
Well, she's fucked up, hasn't she? She's fucked that up royally.
They talk about people who essentially get steamrolled into jobs they didn't want to do. But you don't imagine fashion designer as one of those jobs?
Before I knew it, I was just designing complex patterns, manufacturing them and making models wear them. I don't know how it happened.
I was cleaning the toilets, you know, and the gentleman came and said, "You should be in fashion, love. Now I've got to get these skid marks out."
That's a good first scene for the biopic. That's what I have to say. Vivian, what are you doing cleaning that toilet? Oh, I just love skids. But you're doing it in such an elegant ball gown. I know, but this toilet's not going to clean itself.
I'm interested to note that Vivian Westwood clearly bought Margaret Thatcher's scalp at all. Vivian Westwood used to have a shop on the King's Road with Malcolm McLaren, and in 1975, Johnny Rotten auditioned to be lead singer of the Sex Pistols there. Didn't Johnny Rotten also audition for your role in Quadrophenia, Phil?
I think he did, actually.
Did he get it?
I think he might have done. But they couldn't insure him.
He didn't get it.
I think he might have done.
That would have been mad.
What, he would have played the role if they'd got the insurance?
I mean, maybe it's apocryphal, but
Yeah.
I hear that.
How did your audition for it come up?
I was smoking a joint in a Zulu mud hut, and I got a phone call saying, "Come over to England and..."
Were you actually in a Zulu mud hut, or was it just really good gear you were smoking?
It was good
you
gear, and we
actually
were really in
woods?
a Zulu mud hut, yeah.
Were you in Zulu?
No, I was in Zulu Dawn, the prequel to Zulu.
Wow.
That's...
Yeah.
We got beat, and that one. Zulus win.
If you'd won against the Zulus in Zulu Dawn, they'd have to then reshoot Zulu as just a normal day. So we need an answer. Who said this?
I think it's Vivian Westwood.
OK, let's have Vivian Westwood, but I think it's Edmonds.
And what's your answer? Liberace, Vivian Westwood. Well, the answer is Liberace. Well done. What problem did Liberace say he had with his outfits?
They were obviously too heavy, so did he get some kind of chafing?
I mean, that's one of the most disgusting concepts. I think there's no doubt that Liberace had some sort of chafing.
David, did he used to get abuse from white van drivers? As they went past, "Liberace, sort you like that."
I don't think he put himself in a position where too many white vans could drive past him. I mean, he lived
Unless they're OK, why am I in Vegas? He's got a bit of right in it.
Why am I in Vegas? And why does Liberace walk to work? He said about his outfits, "I have to keep topping myself each time. Years ago, I could put on a colourful jacket and the world would scream. Now I have to go for shock value." Of course, Liberace never came out of the closet in his lifetime. I'm not surprised. He was probably snagged on a diamond-encrusted jumpsuit. Phil, can we have our next quotation on the subject of fashion, please?
You don't become a fashion icon without having your own very clear view of what is fashion.
It's one of the same three. Could be Noel Edmonds,
OK.
could be Vivian Westwood, could be Liberace.
But most people in fashion are a bit thick, aren't they? Really. They're thick and shallow and, "Oh, you're looking good today, darling. Darling, you were looking beautiful."
By thick and shallow, do you mean foreign?
It wouldn't be even vaguely humorous if Vivian Westwood said it, would it?
No.
You know, I
Well,
think
maybe it's not vaguely humorous.
It might not be.
And Liberace would be, I don't know, cleverer, more interesting.
You think Liberace would be cleverer than that?
Yeah, I just think it would be more interesting.
Noel Edmonds could easily have said it, because Noel Edmonds says anything while he's trying to fill time on Deal or No Deal. I think any collection of words you could think to put together, at some point, they've fallen out of his beardy pie hole as he's trying to make opening boxes interesting.
The game is, when you record it, you've got to just watch it on Sky Plus, so you don't have to listen to Noel Edmonds at all. And just get the boxes opening all the time. It takes about 40 seconds to watch the whole show.
40 episodes of Deal or No Deal, I'm going to watch them in an hour. I can give you a clue. 2 out of 3 of them have put their name to a clothing range. 2 out of 3.
It can't be Noel Edmonds, because he found a fashion back about 30 years ago and he thought, that's it, I'm done. I'm not worrying about that anymore.
But that's men.
Yeah.
Men choose a point in their life, and that's it.
What Richard says is interesting, because I know that Mickey was a Fred Perry man in the 80s, and you had a Harrington jacket.
I did have a Harrington jacket.
And I know that from what you're wearing tonight.
Thanks.
I think it's Edmund because he is incredibly more deluded than all of those other people. And also, you know, he has a helicopter. And so he apparently collects his supermarket shop in the helicopter. And so it's very easy. I just call them up about an hour before I get in the helicopter. They clear the car park for me. I just go in, go out, pick up the food, come back in. I don't know why everyone doesn't do it.
Now I'm thinking about it, Vivienne Westwood does have a weird style, a weird pattern, doesn't she?
She looks like she possibly could smell of wee.
That's 2 very different sorts of analysis coming forward. One an in-depth analysis of syntax, and then just an insult to an elderly person. So what's your answer?
Vivienne Westwood.
Vivienne Westwood?
Yeah.
And what's your answer?
We're saying Noel Edmonds.
You're saying Noel Edmonds. Well, the answer is Noel Edmonds. This was his response in an interview in 2006 when asked about his fashion during his time presenting Saturday morning kids show Multicoloured Swap Shop. Who did Noel give a makeover to recently?
A real human.
No, not a real human.
His car.
Close? You're warm?
His helicopter.
No, he gave a makeover to Candice the mannequin. Noel drives a black cab with a fully clothed mannequin called Candice sitting in the back to stop people from trying to hate it. Candice's new look includes a fur coat, a big hat and a change in hair colour from blonde to brunette.
There is no way Noel Edmonds doesn't talk to Candice. There is no way, when he is driving in that cab and he's got her in the back, that he doesn't occasionally go, that was a good episode of Deal or No Deal today, wasn't it?
It's kind of, you know, it's like building up here a catalogue of eccentric behaviour, which normally makes somebody more interesting, and it just makes him less interesting and less desirable. As he
Even
keeps
less
moving.
desirable than he currently is?
That's the
I can't see that
dichotomy
man
of the
without
whole
getting
thing.
an erection. That's why I don't watch Deal or No Deal. I don't have the blood supply.
Neither of those quotations was from Vivienne Westwood, who says, "I always design for a parallel universe." Ah, that will be the one in which I buy her clothes, then. The one with the frozen over hell. So that's the end of the round, and I can tell you that it is a draw. Over the break, see if you can complete this quotation from Albert Einstein and a quote from 1950, the same year he published On the Generalized Theory of Gravitation. But then you knew that already. If A is a success in life, then A equals X plus Y plus Z. Work is X, Y is play, and Z is what? If the computer room in your house is free, why not use it to tweet your answer to @somethingIsaid? And we'll see you after the break. Welcome back to Was It Something I Said? Before the break, we asked you to complete this quotation from Albert Einstein. If A is a success in life, then A equals X plus Y plus Z. Work is X, Y is play, and Z is what?
Was he quite randy?
Not when I met him.
He was quite notoriously up for it. So I'm just wondering whether Z is sex.
No, it's very surprising.
Oh, is it? And Z is boo!
No, it's the opposite.
Oh!
Serenity, Buddhism.
Bit like, yes, you're getting close. Not in...
Contentment.
No.
Stop saying it like no, you can't How is contentment the opposite of boo?
Boo, certainty is, because boo is a surprise and certainty is not.
I wouldn't say certainty is the opposite of boo.
No, but well, as yet, there hasn't been a defined opposite of boo.
Well, this is my my pitch for the opposite of boo. Sure. will be in the answer. You will know, when Phil gives the answer, what I have,
We will.
admittedly
You told
on the hoof, defined as the opposite of boo. And I already think I'm wrong.
Unless it's... Sorry, excuse me. Ooh. That's the opposite of boo.
I would say that, yes. I know now, you're not going to agree with my definition of the opposite of boo, so... But, Phil, please give the answer.
If A is a success in life, then A equals X plus Y plus Z. Work is X, Y is play, and Z is keeping your mouth shut.
Where was he? Prison? Get your head down, do your bird, do your time. Work on your theory of relativity. When you get out, bang.
Keep your mouth shut is the opposite to any word, not just boo. So that is
Yeah.
absolutely not the opposite of boo.
No, but you see what I was thinking?
If you creep up behind someone and go... They don't go... Hey!
Well, look, I saw this coming. I don't really stand by it.
hang on.
All I can say is I was sincerely trying to help. Why was Einstein a worry to his parents as a child?
I think they thought he was slow at school or something like that.
They did think he was very slow, to the extent that he didn't really speak in full sentences until he was 9. And at last, at the supper table one night, he broke his silence to say, "The soup is too hot." Greatly relieved, his parents asked him why he'd never said a word before. Einstein replied, "Because up to now, everything was in order."
But, Dave, if you were a parent, how could you not resist if your child didn't say anything for 9 years and suddenly went, "The soup is cold," not say, "Shut up."
Well, we may have to thank the fact that Einstein's parents had no sense of humour for the general theory of relativity. In 1919, Einstein married his cousin Elsa, which actually breaks another law of relativity. Now, the next round is called Key Words. We've taken a famous quotation and ripped 2 key words out of it, leaving it lying bloodied and bleeding on the floor. All the panel have to do is accurately work out what the original quote said. It's sort of CSI quotations. Here's a quotation from one of Winston Churchill's speeches in 1940. You should know it, as it's rather famous, so I'll award points to the team that gets closest to the exact wording. As your first clue, Phil, can we have 2 keywords, please?
Beaches and fields.
Now, that's got to ring a few bells. Everyone thinks they know this. But let's see how close you can get to the actual quote.
Was it, my favourite Bette Midler film is Beaches. I wish she'd do something with Sally Fields.
Something to do with war, innit? Because he liked to fight, the fella, didn't he?
He liked to fight.
You know, he wanted to carry on into Russia at the end of the war. And that's why they got rid of him.
It wasn't why they got rid of him. They got rid of him because he lost a general election. It was a general election where he wasn't standing on a "let's invade Russia" policy. That would be quite ballsy. The new Tory manifesto. Had enough of war? No, you haven't. Come on.
He used to sleep, didn't he, for about 3, 4 hours during the day?
And 8 at night.
He had late nights and then naps.
But he drank a lot during the day,
And he
didn't
drank a lot.
He had black dog.
He did have black dog.
Yeah.
Black dog was is what he
depression.
called his depression,
yeah.
wasn't it?
He had depression, he was an alcoholic, and he slept a lot during the day.
Sounds like me.
So let's have another. I'll give you another clue. A word that you might not definitely know is in this quote, but you might. What's the 3rd word, please, Phil?
Hills.
Ah, this is alluding to that speech where he made and he was trying to buoy up the country about saying, "We'll fight them here, we'll fight them in the front room, we'll fight them in the kitchen, we'll fight them down the pub." When are we going to stop fighting them? I don't know, we're just going to keep going.
It was, we'll fight them on the beaches, we'll fight them in the fields, not so much the hills.
If they're in the hills, we'll wait till they come down the hill and we'll fight them on the flat bit next to the ice cream van.
I think you want the exact wording.
The closest to the exact wording will get the much prized point.
Is it, we will fight them on the beaches, we will fight them in the fields and on the hills. We will never surrender.
Mickey and Gabby, you have a go.
We'll fight them. We'll fight them on.
Say it to him, don't say it to me.
We'll fight them on the beaches. We'll fight them on the fields. We'll fight them on the hills. That's our difference. Is we're going to say we'll fight them 3 times.
Yeah. Any more?
And I'll see you afterwards.
Great Britain will never surrender.
Great Britain will never surrender. Right. Phil, can we have the exact words?
We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
Yes.
I just wanted you to say park life at the end of it.
Park life.
I don't know who... you all thought it was we shall fight them. It's just we shall fight. He didn't specify. I think it was assumed he meant the Germans, and he went beaches. None of you got landing grounds. No. So I don't know who's
Can
closest.
I point out that I'm the only one not from this country and that we didn't do this bit at school?
You were bloody neutral. Thanks very much. Ed Byrne didn't help kill Hitler at all. Well, I think you both teams were close. I'm going to give you a point each. There you go. This speech of Churchill's was voted the greatest moment in radio history earlier this year. Why should it not have been?
Well, have you heard Bruno Brooks?
Was it actually on television as opposed to radio?
It wasn't on television.
It wasn't on radio.
It wasn't on radio. That's absolutely right. Sony and the Radio Academy voted this speech the greatest moment in radio history, despite the fact that during the war, Churchill never recorded or broadcast this speech. Quotes from it were cited by a newsreader at the same time as the speech, but it was never recorded or broadcast till after the war. So...
Bit late.
Churchill was famously witty, but some of his quotes are apocryphal. There's a story that tells of Churchill responding to news that the Lord Privy Seal, who had earlier disrespected in Parliament, wanted to see him, with the words, "Tell the Lord Privy Seal that I'm sealed in the privy and can only deal with one shit at a time." Time for another one. This is a quotation from actor and Hellraiser Charlie Sheen after one of his many trips to rehab. It's not well known, so this time I'll award the points to whichever team gets nearest to it. As your first clue, Phil, can we have 2 keywords, please?
Tranquilizers and bourbon.
Is that how I get through a parents' evening?
I should say that we don't know it's bourbon. It could be Bourbon.
Yeah,
it could be referring to the biscuit or the French royal house.
The only thing I found that matches the soothing balm of tranquilizers injected directly into my neck is a cup of tea and a bourbon biscuit.
Should we also leave open the possibility that he's referring to the whiskey?
Well, let's have the 3rd keyword to see whether it pushes us biscuitwards or whiskeywards, or, and I'm alone on this one, I know, French royal housewards. Phil.
Joints.
Joints. Now, it doesn't mean... Phil's helpful mime there might be...
I was just helping you out on your sort of, you know...
Might be an unhelpful
This is
mime.
what I was giving out on Trick and Treat night.
Maybe that's his Ocado shopping list, just the one that he does every week.
Is it... What are you thinking of opening a chain of? Tranquilizer bourbon joints.
He kept going on at the time about how much he was abusing himself and saying he was still winning. So I think it might be the list of things he sort of said he was doing. And then he was saying at the end, but I'm still winning.
No, this was a time... He's just gone through a period of rehab when he says this.
That doesn't narrow down time.
No, but it may give you a clue as to his attitude, the attitude with which he said it.
He said, rehab really worked for me. I just get through the day now with tranquilizers, bourbon and a few joints. Something along those lines.
What do you reckon?
I think he probably used the word clean.
Yeah, clean. You think, now I'm clean, all I take are tranquilizers, bourbon and joints.
OK. Well, can we have the full quotation, please, Phil?
There was a time when I couldn't leave the house until I smoked 3 joints, taken tranquilizers and drunk a bottle of bourbon.
I don't think any of you deserve any points. So, why does Sheen believe he's impervious to the dangers of addiction?
Because he has tiger blood in his veins.
Yes, you're absolutely right. He said, I probably took more than anybody could survive. I was banging 7-gram rocks and finishing them because that's how I roll, because I have one speed, one gear. I'm different. I have a different constitution. I have a different brain. I have a different heart. I got tiger blood, man. Dying's for fools. Dying's for amateurs. And I commend this budget to the House. So that's the end of the round, and looking at the scores, I can see that once again the teams are tied. Over the break, see if you can complete this quotation from Richard Madeley from the TV show Richard and Judy. When we first got together, one of the things me and Judy had in common was what? Tweet your answer to @somethingIsaid, and we'll see you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Was It Something I Said? Before the break, we asked you to complete this quotation from Richard Madeley. When we first got together, one of the things me and Judy had in common was what? Any thoughts, panel?
Was a love of Richard Madeley.
I think that's definitely true, but he didn't have the self-knowledge to express it.
Ah.
A lust for life, an unbearable lightness of being, and a love of beauty and nature.
That's a very Madeley-esque quote. That would be... No, it's not
More
that.
than one thing as well, though, isn't it?
It's no, it's a small...
Should we have one of your clues?
Yes, it's not true. Do you know a party popper? It's the opposite of that. It's a small, nerdy thing.
A love of trains.
No?
A love of the Third Reich and what it so nearly achieved.
Is it like a love of stationery or something like that? Something in the
No.
office?
It's an abstract thing. It's not a thing you can hold.
You can't touch numbers. Was it anything to do with numbers?
Not numbers, but it's...
Was
The
it...
opposite of numbers.
The opposite... What's the opposite of numbers? Deuteronomy. No. It's not numbers, but it's close to letters.
Books.
Crosswords.
No.
The alphabet.
What?
Punctuation.
Grammar.
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 More specific?
Full stops, colons, dashes,
Your
ellipses, brackets,
Oxford commas.
The big one.
Spelling.
inverted
Full
commas,
stops.
Spelling.
capitals.
Exclamation marks.
I can't believe you haven't said the one punctuation mark it is.
Hyphens.
Quotation marks.
Capital letters.
Underscoring.
Speech marks.
No.
Slashes.
Sentences.
Underscores.
Sentences.
Ampersands.
Punctuation.
Come on!
Apostrophe.
You know what he's right, we haven't done apostrophes.
Can we have the full quotation, please?
When we first got together, one of the things me and Judy had in common was a passion for the correct use of the apostrophe.
Full stop.
Yeah. Our next round is Was It Something I Said?, in which each team has to work out who said the following quotations. It'll be from someone on the show tonight or from our virtual guest, Jeremy Kyle. So, is it something Jeremy Kyle could have said? Or is it a quote not designed to sow misery amongst confused, dysfunctional families? So, first up is Richard's team. Who said the following? Was it Mickey, Gabby, Phil, me, or Jeremy Kyle?
Probably my clearest memory from childhood is my dad sitting in his overalls having a cup of tea with a newspaper under his arse to protect the chair.
It does sound a bit like something Jeremy Kyle might say in a sort of, you know, this is where I'm from. Sort of
Yeah.
trying to stamp his badge of working class on himself.
Or could
to
it be
take the sin
Gabby?
off the chav baiting that he now indulges in.
See, my thought is, why does he need to protect this chair? Presumably, a chair is harder than a newspaper. I don't see...
The overalls. You know, work, Richard, work. You know that thing where people get dirty.
I'm sorry, that was it was all kind of cockney. Yeah, but that's all I heard. I just thought of it. Yeah, Jeremy Kyle.
You think Jeremy Kyle? Well, the answer is Phil Daniels. Phil, you can explain to Richard.
Well, my dad was a High Court judge and... No, No, he used to wear overalls. Because he was a caretaker in a block of flats. And,
So there would be... I think the key thing is, Richard, there would be something on the overalls.
Look, I misread the quote, I got it wrong, and yes, I should be punished. And I must pay for my upbringing with my fabulously wealthy Nigerian father. And the Norwegian heiress he married on his rounds as a TV repairman.
Phil, can we have the next quotation, please?
I've not worn underwear for 20 years.
So, who said that? Was it Mickey, Gabby, Phil, me, or Jeremy Kyle?
It could be something that Jeremy Kyle just said back to someone, just went, you know, they said, I'm really struggling, I've got 2 kids, I can't pay my rent. I go, well, I've not worn underwear for 20 years. Problems
So you think it's Kyle?
It could be Kyle, or it could be Daniels. I mean, it could, I mean...
I don't think it's David.
I really...
I think if it was true, I don't think David would say it. I think he would... It's a sort of fact he would have the dignity to keep concealed about himself.
I don't know. I think it's one of those boasts that, you know, I don't like music, I don't like sport, and I haven't worn underwear for 20 years.
It's terrible. It sounds so rich and boomy in my head.
Although Flanagan's got a bit of a strut.
I have to wear underwear, don't you worry about it.
I've heard Flanagan just needs a rope harness. It just has to be kind of winched up his back. For some reason, I think it's Kyle.
Yeah.
You think it's Kyle?
Yeah.
I think
Is that
it's
your
Kyle.
answer?
I'm going to go with Jeremy Kyle.
Well, the answer is Jeremy Kyle. Well done. Next up, it's Mickey's team. Who said the following? Was it Richard, Ed, Phil, me, or Jeremy Kyle?
I'm not too proud to self-Google every so often.
I can't imagine Richard saying that.
Just too self-assured and confident, he wouldn't have to check anything, really. So it's... possibly Ed or possibly Mr. Kyle, the reptile.
I really don't like the fact that I'm now even a choice. I don't like the fact that people are actually going, it was either Ed Byrne or Jeremy Kyle.
Not nice, is it?
Quite insulting.
Not nice being lumped in with Kyle, is it? No. Well, you shouldn't have said so many Jeremy Kyle-style things in your life.
Is it ironic? Is it Richard because it's ironic? I'm not too proud to self-Google.
It's like sitting here with Rory Bremner. OK, I think we should...
Yeah.
We're gonna go for a bit of a wild card here, and we think it may be Richard.
Ah, well, the answer is me.
You, after everything you said about the internet.
Have you never Googled yourself?
No. No, I'm too busy masturbating like a normal man.
Are you masturbating over your own name?
Of course I am!
Phil, can we have the next quotation, please?
I have a photographic memory. In an argument, I'll say, I know you don't really think that because 3 years ago you said the complete opposite.
Who do you think said that, then?
This
Richard, Ed, Phil, me, or Jeremy Kyle?
This is the sort of thing that David... He would remember every detail.
And we know he likes talking about opposites.
Yeah.
I think it's
I don't think it'd be Phil.
Possibly Ed.
Could you say it for us, Ed?
Ed's
Just
quite
say it.
I have a photographic memory. In an argument, I'll say, I know you don't really think that because 3 years ago you said the complete opposite.
It's not his
No.
colloquialism.
No.
So...
I think it's either David or Richard, but then I can't see...
Give Jeremy Kyle a call and see if he can say it down.
No, I think this is Kyle, because that's...
Yeah,
he argues for a living, doesn't he?
Let's go,
And
Kyle.
Yeah, to come back 3 years on and he goes, I know you don't mean that, because 3 years ago you said you were going to give up heroin and now you're back on the heroin. I'm only doing it in the morning. That's not good enough.
So your answer is?
Let's go, Kyle.
Well, the correct answer is Ed Byrne.
No! But you read it like you just...
I did it, didn't I?
You
Very
acted
totally
it.
stilted, like
Yeah.
I'd never even seen this quote before.
So I think I said the complete opposite is a very Ed Byrne sort of turn of phrase, but you deliberately didn't say, you didn't give it beans.
Yeah.
You didn't land on opposite like you would have done.
Extravagant.
Yeah. Well, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. And a quick look at the scores tells me this week's winners are Richard and Ed. Thank you to Nicky and Gabby, Richard and Ed, and to our guest narrator, Phil Daniels. And we leave you with the words of novelist John Galsworthy. The beginnings and endings of all human undertakings are untidy. And so, with that in mind, it's only left that that this is there won't be the next, the other one will be, but this is finished. And so, bye.
David was probably trying to say that there's more on Sunday at 10:05. What he hadn't mentioned was that it's followed by a brand new series. Matt Berry is Toast of London on stage at 10:40. Next tonight, find out what's on the Gogglebox.